always do let me know where you are in the world. Say hi in the comments. Let me know that you can hear me. That's always good to hear when you do one of these sessions and nobody's talking to you. You think, can they hear me? So it would be lovely to know that you can hear me. That would be really great. Let me know if you can hear me, and let me know where in the world you are. I am in Leeds in Yorkshire. I'm in my house at the moment. Those of you that are regulars, or they're otherwise known as repeat offenders, will know that I'm not always here. And you'll be seeing a lot of me in the motorhome over the next few weeks. A lot of travelling. Good afternoon, Marita from Stockholm, an hour ahead of me, and I have been to Stockholm. It's a beautiful place, actually. It's a long time ago, probably about 2009 that I was there, and I will be back. I'm going to come visit in my motorhome. Is Stockholm motorhome friendly? That's what I know. Would love to know. So we've got Jane in Mississippi. Hi, Jane, and hi, Roland. You're hearing me loud and clear in Tonbridge. Fantastic. Great, we've got somebody from the UK here. It's nice to hear some UK, hear that there's some UK, not hear some UK people. You can hear me, I'm in the UK, but I can't hear you. But it's good to see there are some people from the UK here. So let me know, anybody else who's not said hi yet, please say hello. Let me know where in the world you are. Thank you, Marita, Jane and Roland, for saying hello and letting me know you can hear me loud and clear. It's always good to know that. So today we're going to explore inner critic. Anybody got one of those? Anybody not got one? I don't think anybody's not got one. Mine's much quieter than it used to be, but it's still there. So we're going to explore today from the love of my. No, there are lots of other people who I love. There are lots of people that I love and lots of other things that I love, but this understanding is the thing I love sharing the most. That's probably the best way to put it. So what I do here is share something known as the 3 principles, which is an understanding. I'm calling it a lot now. It's like the little puzzle pieces of how life works. Like we need all 3 of these puzzle pieces to really understand how life works. And the 3 pieces of the puzzle are thought, consciousness, and mind, or universal intelligence. Mind's a funny word because I think when we think about mind, we think about what's inside our heads, don't we? But really, when we talk about mind in the 3 principles, we're talking about universal mind, universal intelligence, the aliveness, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, really. This energy that runs through us, that is making all sorts of magical things happening making all sorts of magical things happen without us really doing that, which I think is quite magical and marvellous, to say the least. And I came across this understanding in January 2020, having been on quite a journey of self-development. I burnt out in 2015, started my first business in 2016. I got caught up in a lot of self-development. Anybody else here tried a lot of things to feel better, to be better, to do better? Excuse me, has anybody else tried a lot of things? I've tried a lot of things over the years, all sorts of different tools and techniques, all sorts of therapies, all sorts of books. Yeah, Roland, you're not the only one. I suspect you're amongst friends, Roland, not just me, just not everybody else is fessing up in the comments. But we all have. We've all tried a lot of things, haven't we? Whether that's in the outside world in terms of, I used to be a food. I used to suppress my feelings with food or try and feel better with food. Don't do that anymore, but I've been through all sorts of different things to try and feel better. And there are many and varied. Some of them are not so good for our physical bodies. Some of them are really good for our physical body, but they're all coming from the same misunderstanding of where the essence of calm is, really, and that it's not out there in any tools or techniques, but inside us all the time. So I share this understanding as a means, I guess, to help people to reveal their potential, to really start to live life from a place of connectedness to their innate wisdom, to their intuition, to live life in a place of flow, to not be caught up in stress, anxiety and overwhelm, And how I speak about this now is that I call myself a human potential catalyst, because that's what I do. I catalyze, or I bring back to life, really, that which is already inside you. I help your psychology to get out of the way so that you can really connect to the essence of who you are, the infinite wisdom and intelligence and calm and resilience and confidence and peace and love and all those things that you really are. And that's your human potential. And I don't think, like, it's not a very good marketing ploy, is this? But, I don't think we can ever really completely and utterly get to the point where we've revealed our entire potential. But I think we can look in that direction and see more and more of it as time goes on. So this month of June 2023, we have been exploring really the essence of that, the essence of revealing our potential, the essence of what gets in the way. And there's only one thing that ever gets in the way. I know it looks like there's a complicated awful lot of things, but really there's our psychology. So as a human being, we kind of can live life from our psychology, or we can live life from this innate essence of who we really are. And most of us will fluctuate between the two on a moment by moment basis. Now, if we want to live more from our potential, then we look in this direction. We look to see how it's working and how we can live more from our potential. Yes, Marisa, human braining. I've not heard that before, but it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, we do spend too much time human braining, don't we? Like, not human being, but human braining. Have you branded that, Marita? Because I might pinch it. I just absolutely love that. Anything that makes me smile about it, I think I love that because it makes it light. Like, has anybody noticed that life sometimes seems really serious? And I think I can't remember. There is a Sydney Banks quote that I heard the other day that somebody said, if it looks serious, you're in your psychology. If it looks desperate, if it looks anxiety, if it comes with an uncomfortable feeling, you're in your psychology. And when we take life seriously, we're in our psychology, and it doesn't feel very nice. It really doesn't. So I love that human braining. Anything that makes us smile at ourselves is helpful. I really do think, Marita, so thank you for that. So this month we've been exploring revealing our potential with the 3 principles. It's been the theme all month, and alongside the lives that I've been doing and all the tracks that have been uploaded, I think most of them have been uploaded now. Actually, we're doing quite well, including a track that's called What Are the 3 Principles and Why Do They Bring More Ease to Life? So if you want to just get a little bit more of a flavour of this 3 principles thingy that I'm talking about, then that's a good track to go and listen to. Of course, you find that by going to my profile and connecting with me there, following me there. That's how you get to find out everything that I'm doing, all the lives that I'm doing, all the courses that I have. So the course that's been running alongside Revealing Your Full Potential with the 3 Principles is called Revealing Your Full Potential with the 3 Principles. Did you see what I did there? Didn't mean to do that. But that's what the course is actually called. I had a previous course which is called Calm, Balance and Clarity with Ease. That's kind of a nice warm-up course. It's worth doing that one as well. They're both pointing in the same direction. It's all pointing in the same direction. And very exciting news, next month we're going to be exploring productivity, because it's been the thing that's come out most in the last month in terms of reaching our potential. If we're not being productive, if we're not procrastinating, if we're not feeling motivated, not getting things done, in terms of what we put out into the world, we're much less likely to be reaching our potential. So the next course is called Stress to Success, a 3 principles approach to effortless productivity. And I have uploaded about 50% of it. It's all recorded, all the tracks are edited, We've got fingers crossed for first time approval, because if you've been with me on this journey previously, you'll know that it's a lot of fun getting a course approved by Insight Timer. But I have upgraded my sound equipment recently to this very lovely, the mic I had, but now it's got a little hat. You can probably not hear me when I do that, but it's got a little hat and a little pop screen now. So my sound quality is much better. And so there seems to be less editing required to produce tracks that are of a decent quality. I've had some premium meditations approved, which you can also find on my approval. And that seemed to go okay. So I can see that a few more people have arrived in the last few minutes while I've been chatting and introducing myself. So I'd be really grateful if you can introduce yourself in the comments if you've got a moment to do that. Let me know where in the world you are. It's always good to see where people are dialing in from, because I was born in the 70s, so I sometimes say dialing in from, because that's what we used to do. Does anybody else remember when you used to have a little thing in the corner of the room attached to the phone line, whirring and making loud squeaking noises as we connected to the internet back in the day before it was all quiet and cabley and lovely? That's how it was, wasn't it? Yeah, Roland remembers that. It doesn't seem like 5 minutes ago, does it, Roland, since we were dialing in? And we didn't have Zoom back then, of course, did we? So this month's theme is, of course, nearly finished, because this month, frighteningly, is nearly finished. In fact, you're going to love this, but I said to my fiancé yesterday, oh my God, it's 6 months till Christmas. So today we're closer to Christmas going forwards than we are going backwards. Sorry, folks. Just thought I'd say that. I'm laughing at myself saying that, because I do have it. Don't say the C word in June. What are you doing? Anyway, it's mildly amusing that it's how fast the year is going. So the rest of there's a few more sessions to go this month on this theme of revealing our potential. Today we're doing Taming the Inner Critic with the 3 principles, and tomorrow at 8:05 in the morning we're doing Revealing Inner Calm with the 3 principles. On Wednesday at 1:11, trying to do one at 1:11 each week. I've got a thing about it. Building Resilient Relationships with the 3 principles. And Friday will be the last session on this theme. I'm not doing one Thursday, because Thursday I'll be doing going to a nice ladies event thing, business event thing on Thursday. It'd be nice. And Friday again in the morning at 8:08. An end to being triggered from a 3 principles perspective. So I think there's some quite juicy topics there that I'm gonna enjoy talking about. And I've been doing some tracks to go with them, so that if you do miss this, there will be tracks coming up. And also, if you go to the link in my bio, there is a little playlist, a little YouTube playlist, and I'm popping these lives, just screen recording my little bit, and the lives are getting uploaded onto YouTube, so you can catch up on them. So if you missed a bit already, you can go and do that. Thank you for the love on that front. And it doesn't take me very long, actually, so it's definitely worth doing to make these more accessible as I'm going along. If I do things as I go along, don't you find you kind of get them done? And if I leave until later on, not so good. So this understanding known as the 3 principles has changed my life, and I'm keen for it to change your life. If you like listening to me, then I'm really grateful that you're going to stick with me on the journey and learn more and more about the 3 principles. That's wonderful. If you feel this is a worthwhile cause and you think I'm doing something great, then you might wish to support me with a donation. Or if you find this session helpful at all, I'm always grateful for those donations, so thank you very much in advance for that. If you're not sure about my dodgy Yorkshire humour, my Yorkshire accent, and my occasional crying, which happens, it happened today while I was recording one of the tracks for the course, actually. I had to have a moment and just, I think anywhere where I point towards who we really are, our true potential, I can get a little bit emotional. Just I'm going now. Doesn't take much. But if you don't like listening to me about the 3 principles, then please do find a teacher. Go onto YouTube, search the internet, whatever you need to do, search Insight Timer. But please do explore this, because I've tried a lot of things, like many other people on this call, although only Roland's admitting to it today. And I have experienced more transformation than I did with anything else. And I've not had to do anything. The great thing about the 3 principles is it's descriptive, not prescriptive. So there's nothing to do. It's not going to give you anything else to put on your plate. You might listen to some sessions like this, of course, but it's not going to give you anything else to do. And anybody here need anything else to do? Or have we all got enough to do? I think we've all got enough to do, haven't we? You can answer that if you like in the comments, but I think most of us have. I can see like loads more people are coming in now. There must have some other event must have finished. People are turning up to this one. I don't know what's happened, but suddenly there's a lot more people come in. So please do say hello. I can see a few familiar faces bobbing up and down. I can see Violet. Hello, Violet. I can see people bobbing up and down at the bottom. So please do come and say hello. Your heads kind of go whizzing past, so I catch you all, but please do pop a comment and say hello and let me know you're here. Hello, Violet, lovely lady. So lovely to have you here. So please do say hello. Let me know you're here, and we'll get cracking with the subject in hand, shall we? Let's talk about the inner critic. I hope this is going to be fun, actually, because I have quite an amusing relationship with the inner critic. She's got a name and everything. So, hello, Julie, from Surrey in the UK. Nice, we've got some UK people here. So, oh, and Kathy, lovely Kathy's here. Hello, Kathy. Kathy always leaves lovely reviews on my tracks. Bless you, Kathy. Thank you so much. It's lovely that you're here from Utah. So, inner critic. Oh, how to talk about my inner critic? Let's talk about my story first, and I'd love to hear a little bit in the comments if you like about your journey with your inner critic and where you are in relationship, what kind of relationship you've got with it now. So I used to have an extremely loud inner critic. Now, I have a little bit of a theory about people about my age. So I'm 52, was born in 1971. And I have a theory about 1970s and probably 1960s parenting as well, if we've got anybody from that era. But that kind of era came with a certain kind of parenting. And I have actually spoken to my mum about this. She's 79. That I call the parenting of that era treat 'em mean, keep 'em keen parenting. It was very, very critical. I never felt really like I was praised very much. And my mum, even now, she can do it in a text, but she can't do it to my face. She cannot praise me to my face. When I took on my second headship, I actually became a head teacher of a school that's not too far away from where I live. And my mum used to go to the gym. She used to go to this, it was called Active Life, and it was run in the council gym. And it was a session where people would go who were of a certain age, so retired people. So it was a retired activity morning at the local gym, local sports centre. Anyway, some of the grandparents of the children of the school that I'd become head teacher of, so I had children in my school, and their grandparents met my mum. So when they were going for their coffee after the event, some of those grandparents were raving about this new head teacher that was at the school. And because before I managed to burn out after 2 terms, I had quite a big impact. I'd opened the doors of the school. I'd made people feel much more welcome. I'd really had and we did Christmas. The school at primary school never really did Christmas properly. Like they didn't do all the. I did Christmas, got the parents in, did lots of things, made the school very festive, and already was starting to have an impact. And the parents were noticing. The parents were telling their parents, and those parents, the grandparents, were going off and telling my mother. So they were at the gym, and my mum's telling me this story, and she's saying how they were saying how well the school's doing now, the new head teacher's lovely, and blah blah blah. And I said, oh well, that's my daughter. And so out in public, she was like, that's my daughter who's doing that, like really clearly proud of me in front of other people. But she never told me. She told me that story. She didn't say, and I'm really proud of you, Claire. Now I'm saying this with laughter now. It used to really go, but now I just see that that's just her upbringing has created her perspective in the world, and that's just how she is. But this type of parenting, I think, is a lovely, not lovely, that's the wrong word. It's a great precursor of the inner critic. If you have spent most of your childhood not really being told that you're any good, not mostly being told you're a bit rubbish, then of course you're going to grow up with a voice in your head that says you're a bit rubbish. I mean, it just makes sense, doesn't it? But what we'll be looking towards in this session is that that's our psychology. That's not who we really are. Yes, Roland, treat and mean keen parent, definitely still around in 78, I would say. You're a little bit younger than me, but absolutely. People in their 40s, 50s, 60s will have experienced, a lot of people will have experienced this kind of parenting. You're very lucky if you didn't. But then there'll be something else. It's realizing that how we think right now, what's in our psychology, that all these different thoughts and our inner critic and all the other bits and bobs that kind of get in our way of us seeing our potential and accessing it are just our psychology. It's just how we think about the world. It's just what we've learned from the past. And that's why this thing about seeing the critical nature of our parenting is we don't have to go poking around in it and prodding it and turning it over and trying to find the fine detail, but we can just have a general nod to it. Yeah, it was fairly critical parenting. It seemed to be that's the way it was, and that as a result means that we can have a very loud voice in our head that isn't very complimentary, shall we say. I am very well, Henry. Thank you so much for asking. I hope you're well too. Do let me know. Let me know whereabouts in the world as well you are. You are as well, Henry. That sentence went all topsy-turvy. But I'm really good. I've enjoyed recording my new course for Insight Timer today. And the sun's shining again. We've had like a whole month nearly of sun in the UK. We're all a bit flummoxed, aren't we, Roland? Anybody else? Julie's from the UK as well. Anybody else a bit flummoxed by the weather? It's just a bit strange, month, week after week, and we keep waking up and it's sun shining again. It's all a bit strange. We're a bit disorientated, I think, by it. So my inner critic was very loud, formed, I suspect, by my fairly critical parenting or being parented fairly critically. And that voice was very, very, very prominent. To the extent where, for a very long time, if I dropped something or made a mistake, I would berate myself out loud, call myself a stupid idiot, and that kind of thing. It was not just in my head, it was external. It was very loud and it was very angry, I would say. It was an upset voice. It was like an angry person telling a child off, really. That's what it was like. And I saw myself a lot of the time as stupid. I also had a voice in my head that said I was lazy. That was huge. And if you'd seen my life when I had two small children and I was working full time and I had an ex-husband, bless him, who wasn't really contributing much to the party, and I had a voice that said I was lazy, you can start to see that it's utter nonsense. It's utter nonsense, isn't it? Like, our psychology is utter nonsense. It's nothing to do with the truth of who we are. So, Marita, you come from a family of clerks, vicars, and bishops. Goodness. Yeah, so learning that we are perhaps, because of our gender, not part of the party, not valuable, not, that we're just a bit spare, superfluous requirements, so that we've got a particular purpose in life. That can also bring about this voice in our head that holds us back. And I know I've got men on this call, and I love you all dearly, but I think women carry more of this than men do, or a different version of it, a very specific version, because we've grown up with restrictions. Maybe like I felt like it was disappearing fundamentally when I was kind of leaving school. So I left school in 1989. Then we were kind of, women. Well, it was a new thing though. Women can be engineers. Well, okay, I'll go off and be an engineer. I don't actually want to be an engineer, but I ended up being one, trying to be one. Didn't succeed. I failed epically at that. But I tried to be an engineer because I thought that's what the world wanted me to do. Well, the suffragettes did what they did, so I must be an engineer. So that there's so much thinking about all of this, but it's realizing that it's thought and it's not truth, that it's psychology and not truth. So as I was saying, my inner critical voice, and I'd love to hear about your inner critical voices, was just generally chunnering away, chatting away, moaning away in the background, telling me I was a bit rubbish, kind of holding me back, I guess, really. Now, I have to say, it did hold me back a little bit, but not very much. I must have been pretty resilient, because I did just keep moving forward, despite that voice going on in my head. Now, what's really useful to see about that is that it's possible. I think it's all too easy to listen to a voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough and you can't do this and people are going to judge you, they're going to think you're stupid. Who do you think you are to do that? That's probably one that you're familiar with, Marita. Who do you think you are? That kind of thing. That we can, in fact, move forward in life with that on board. We don't actually have to work to get rid of it first. Because I think that's what happens with a lot of self-development is. Self-development kind of says, well, you need to get rid of the negative, let's call that negative thinking. You need to get rid of the negative thinking, in inverted commas, so that you can live the life that you want to live, so that you can move forward, so that you can feel motivated, so that you can get things done, so you can be productive, all of those kind of things, so that you can reach your potential. But you can't do that unless you get rid of that voice. So we can be held up, really, spending a lot of time trying to get rid of that voice, working on it, doing affirmations, doing positive thinking activity, doing mindfulness activities, perhaps doing meditation, perhaps doing gratitude journals, particularly focused on ourselves, other kind of journaling and practicing and that kind of thing. Almost as if we have to get rid of the voice and completely silence it before we can move forward. But what about a different way of looking at this that's a lot easier and a lot faster in terms of us reaching our potential? What if we could see that thinking wasn't the truth? Now, we've already pointed today, haven't we, to some of it being inherited, some of it being learned from other people, learned from our misunderstandings, learned from religion, from our parents, from our teachers, from society. It's all been learnt, and none of it is truly who you are. Your ability to move forward in life has nothing to do with your thinking. And I know you've seen that. Maybe you've got some examples of times when you've had a raging voice in your head saying, no, you can't, you're going to look stupid, you can't do that, you're not clever enough, but you've done it anyway. I think we all have at some point, haven't we? Let me know in the comments if you've done that. If you've moved forward despite your thinking, despite an uncomfortable feeling, despite anxiety, despite all of that. Thank you, Roland. Roland says he agrees and he definitely has done that. So it shows that it's possible, doesn't it? Your thinking doesn't know what you're capable of. You'll hear me say that many, many times. Your thinking isn't you. You are infinite potential. You are so much more than your thinking. Now, if you haven't already heard it, there is there is a beautiful piece of writing by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you search for Letter to Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert, It's in the book called Big Magic. If anybody's come across that book, I'd love to hear from you. And in that, the letter could be called Letter to Inner Critic. And it says, creativity and I are going on a journey. We're going forward. It could be anything. It could be motivation and I. It could be creating it could be my new business and I are going on a journey. Now, we all realise, or we can come to realise that the inner critic's going to come along for the ride. Because it just does. It just does that. It comes along for the ride. But what about if we didn't give it any power? What if we said, going on a journey to create something, to fulfill our potential, to create our dream life, to put something out in the world that helps people that we really want to do. And we know that inner critic is going to come along, but we're not going to give it any voting rights. We're not going to give it the steering wheel. We're not going to give it the sat nav. We're not going to even let it control the air conditioning, the radio, or wind its own windows down. We're going to move forward. And the inner critic is going to sit in the back seat, muttering away to itself, or muttering away to us, shouting obscenities, being unpleasant, telling us we're still a bit rubbish and what do we think we're doing. We don't have to listen to that. We can move forward with it there. And when you start to see this, it makes the whole transformation process so much easier. Because you no longer have to wait for that voice to go away. Make that voice change, make the feelings go away. You can go forward with the inner critic and the anxiety and all the other shaboodle going on in the back, and you can still keep moving forward. For some reason, we often don't do that. We believe that voice, but let me share with you something that I heard in a podcast a few weeks ago, and that's like if you're in the car at the traffic lights, and in the back of the car is a raving lunatic. Like, let's take this, the Joker from Batman. He's mad as a box of frogs, isn't he? Like, he's in the back and he's shouting, go through the red light, go through the red light, go through the red light. And you just ignore him, don't you? Just like, you're the stupid Joker. You have not got my best interests at heart. You are not in charge here. You know, zip it, zippy. You know, you don't listen. You wouldn't listen. You wouldn't go through the red light, no matter how loudly somebody was screaming in the back of the car. You would stay put and you'd stay safe, and life would continue, because when the light turned to green, you would set off. Even if the Joker in the back started shouting, stop, 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 the green light, you would go. Now, what we can start to do is we can start to see our inner critic in the same way. Or the inner critic. It's not our inner critic. Let's even change the language. The inner critic. The leftover voice from the past. The noise. Just that voice that twitters away in the background. So what I'm pointing to here is to be changing our relationship with that thinking, not changing the thinking. That's the difference. Changing the thinking is virtually impossible. Really hard work, takes a really long time, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of time each day, is very repetitive, is just exhausting, and has us build a dodgy relationship with thought, where thought seems to be much more powerful than it actually is. Whereas when we just go, yeah, I've got this voice in my head, kind of says some rubbish things to me, but you know what? I don't have to pay attention to it. Now, let's get a bit funny about this, because my inner critic has got a lot quieter over the years. It did change from doing the other self-development stuff. I did start to notice that it would, if I made a mistake or dropped something, it would more be in my head rather than outwardly berating myself and calling myself stupid. It would be more in my head saying that, and then over time it just stopped showing up quite so much. But then when I came across the 3 principles, it just, I didn't feel, I'd spent a lot of time trying to get rid of it. That was really hard work, and I started to see that it could still be there and I could be fine and I could still do things. It didn't really matter. Now, I have a comedy visual of mine in a critic, and she's a wrinkly old lady with a cigarette kind of hanging out the corner of her mouth, and she's drunk most of the time, and she's just shouts. Has anybody got a relative like this? You don't have to shave your but when you go to like a Christmas do or something, and somebody's elderly relative is sat in the corner, and they're mostly like half drunk, half awake, and every so often they keep waking up and just shouting something rude. Probably, I'm not going to swear on Inside Job, but they just shout random swear words, and then they kind of go back to sleep again, and then they wake up and just shout, "Where's my drink? Where's my drink?" There is a comedy show. Roland might know this. Julie might know this. Comedy show called. Yes, I was just going to say that. I was just going to say Father Ted, Roland. It's Father Jack in the comedy show Father Ted, which is such a funny show. I used to love it. My son's called Jack, and we used to say that he was Father Jack because when he was little, when he was 30, he would just shout, "Drink, drink," like that. So we called him Father Jack. The amusement was for me and my ex-husband, not really him, because he was a tiny child. But we laughed a lot. But yeah, it's like, we've all had that, haven't we? So my inner critic is now Niggly Nelly. And she is that drunk old relative in the corner, and she just keeps waking up and shouting rude things. And I kind of think, okay, that's just what Niggly Nelly does. Just what my mind does sometimes. It's what brains do. They spit out nonsense. I don't have to take it seriously. I don't have to do anything about it. Now, occasionally I amusingly think that I might just give her another drink, like Father Jack Rowland. I just give her another drink in the corner. Say, there you go, love. Have another drink. Keep her quiet. She falls back asleep again. She's asleep a lot more of the time these days, thankfully. So, I'm not sure about the warrior, Marita. I don't know about that. Yeah, I think in the backseat, keep her in the backseat, or him. Your inner critic can be either gender or any of the genders, perhaps I should say. You can put your inner critic in the backseat. Yeah, sometimes tiresome, but what I've noticed, Marita, is that the more I've ignored it, the less it's turned up. And this is where I think it's similar to taming a toddler, which is a thing that we, we may engage in. When my children were little, I was quite a firm parent, not like physically firm. I meant business, as you can imagine. Head teacher, very good at disciplining small children, and my children got the brunt of that, bless them. So they're 23 and 21, and they're all right. They seem to have turned out all right. So no, they're lovely. They're not just all right. I love them very dearly, and I'm very proud of them, and I do tell them a lot. So I remember when they were very little, like probably Sophie was about 18 months, Jack maybe a little bit older, when they start to say no to you, or they start to make demands of you, and when they don't get what they want, they throw themselves on the floor, don't they, and scream. So when I used to go to the supermarket, and if my children did the thing, which would usually be around something they wanted in the supermarket that I wouldn't let them have, like a bar of chocolate or a toy that I didn't think they needed, or anything else really, they would throw themselves on the floor and have a proper toddler tantrum. So you've seen it. Everybody's seen it in the supermarket, or out and about generally, children having toddler tantrums. Now, what used to really make me smile was that then I would go to, pushing my child, and then they'd be off the floor in the trolley, because you can't behave yourself. You're pulling things off the shelf, so you need to go in the trolley. That might create some more temper tantrums. And then usually some lovely, well-meaning old lady would come up to them and go, "Oh, are they upset?" I think they're not upset. They're being outrageous. They're being naughty. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just angry. But what I noticed was that the more I said no and quickly said no and stuck to no and didn't give in to them, over quite a short period of time, probably a little bit longer with Jack than with Sophie, they stopped doing it. And I think the inner critic is a bit like that, Marita, that the longer we ignore it, the more we just leave it alone, don't try and do anything about it, don't try and fix it, realise what it is, that it is this old, yes, tiresome voice, and just carry on moving forward, it just goes away. It just disappears. It's just like that tantruming toddler. It's just like that. I'm glad you like calling it the noise, Julie. It is just background noise, isn't it? And the more we treat it like we treat that toddler that we're trying to help realise that they can't have a chocolate bar every time they go to the supermarket, it just does start to go. Yeah, and it will keep interrupting, just like the toddler would. Just like, the toddler's on the floor, you're trying to pay for your shopping, the toddler keeps shouting about the chocolate bar, but if you stick to it and just pay for your shopping and walk out the supermarket without a chocolate bar, it won't take many visits to the supermarket before the child just stops doing that. And they might still ask for the chocolate bar, but they'll know when you say no, you mean no. And I think for me, that works really well. And the tantruming stopped fairly soon. And I do concern myself a little bit. I see a lot of children having tantrums when they're kind of 8 and 9. Perhaps there wasn't anyway. We're not going to go on to parenting. I could go on to parenting, but I'm not going to do that. This is more about the inner critic. So we can see it in exactly the same way, and over a period of time, it just disappears and stops turning up. Particularly if we really see that that's not who we are. Because what I'm pointing to here is that we are infinite potential, the power of the universe, whatever else you want to call it, that's who we really are. And then there's our psychology. And those two things are not the same. They're part of the same energy of life, but we often are living in our psychology rather than looking to the truth of who we really are. If we start to look towards that we are pure potential and not our thinking, not our psychology, the psychology just seems a little less relevant, if that makes sense. It seems a little less important. It seems a lot less that we need to do about it. Because I do think that doing things about it does perpetuate it. If I think about all the hours I spent doing affirmations, trying to change my thinking, trying to force it to be different, and then doing gratitude journaling and other journaling and writing affirmations out thousands of times and all sorts of other things, all with the aim of trying to change my thinking. And then coming across this understanding and just watching it fall away. This is why I'm so passionate about sharing the 3 principles. This is why I turn up on Insight Timer to share this so many times a week and make courses for you and share other tracks and things like that. Is that I can really see the potential it has to change people's lives. So if you feel able to support me on Insight Timer today by making a donation, I'll be really, really grateful, and it will help me to keep pursuing or keep sharing this understanding. I'm in communication with Insight Timer about introducing the 3 principles as a teaching modality on the platform, because it isn't there at the moment. So I kind of have to point to non-duality as being my teaching style. But I would like the 3 principles to be a teaching modality to be shared on here. So the 3 principles, Marita, are thought, consciousness, and mind. So what we're really looking at is what's our psychology and what's everything else, our infinite potential, consciousness, aliveness, that which we really are. We spend a lot of time in our thinking, but there is so much more available to us in our in the aliveness, in the nature of who we really are. And when I say mind is talking to infinite potential, universal intelligence, the creative potential of the world, energy, aliveness, whatever you want to call it. But these three principles really are the jigsaw pieces of life. You know, when I talk about thought, you may hear me say words like psychology, thinking, beliefs, all those kinds of things, limiting beliefs, perception, perspective, all those things are created through thought. When you hear me talking about consciousness, you'll hear me talk about awareness, noticing, curiosity, those kind of things. And when you hear me talking about mind, you'll hear me talk about universal intelligence, the universe, the energy of life, those kind of things. I really recommend, Marita, that you listen to the track that's called, it's a free track, and it's called What Are the Three Principles and Why Do They Create More Ease in Life? Because that one really does give a little bit more of an outline. Plus, if you click on the link in my bio, there is a video there that's helpful too. And if any of you do want to reach out from here and have a conversation around this because you feel like it could be something that could help you, then in the link in my bio, there's ways to contact me around that. There's a Telegram link now, so you can even message me on there. I do love Telegram because it's so much easier to connect to people without needing their phone number, which is hard. It's hard sometimes to give out. Can't give out phone numbers and things like that on here. Whereas Telegram allows us to communicate a little bit if we want to. But also, you know, keep listening to the tracks, keep listening to my courses, keep coming to the lives. Just to remind you that I now have 2.5 courses. So Calm, Balance and Clarity with Ease is available. Revealing Your Full Potential with 3 Principles, which links to this theme this month. And then half uploaded, as soon as I finish this live, I am going to finish uploading course number 3, which I'm very excited about. And that will align with July's theme, which will be productivity. So the course is called Stress and Success, a 3 principles approach to effortless productivity. So in that course, we're going to look at productivity, we're going to look at procrastination, we're going to look at demotivation and motivation, we're going to look at distraction, all the things that, yay, a 3rd course, Daniel, yes. We're all going to look at all the things that get in the way of us creating what we want to create in the world. And, you know, I've had a long and illustrious relationship with procrastination in particular, or trying to feel more motivated. It was a massive part of my self-development journey when I listened to endless books about habits and 5-second rules and 4-hour work weeks and the one thing and all the books about productivity and all the tools and techniques about productivity too. So that will be a really fun expo. I'm really looking forward to that because I have such a story with that and have really seen through the 3 principles that's not who I really am. So we're really pointing to becoming more aware here of our psychology. And I hope in this conversation around the inner critic, you've started to understand that that voice in your head is not telling the truth. And a really cool way to see that has been provided by your body, by the universal intelligence. Everything's provided by the universal intelligence. And that is your feeling state, your emotions. I pretty much guarantee that when your inner critic kicks off and starts chattering away in a rather unpleasant fashion, that you feel terrible. Do you not? We all do, don't we? The inner critic, the voice of the inner critic makes us feel terrible. That's a warning from your system. That's your amber warning light to let you know that your thinking is not trustworthy. That's all it means. That is all it means. It just means that you've got dodgy thinking. That's what the emotion means. If when you go into your inner critical thinking and it's whirring around in your head, you start to feel low, you start to feel de-energized, you start to feel tired, you start to feel sluggish, you can't be bothered to do things, that's your body letting you know that your thinking's gone awry, because your feelings, your emotions are energetically, representation of your thinking in your body. That's all they are. It's no more complicated than that. So, Mary, the three principles: thought, consciousness, and mind. But I really do recommend, if you're not already following me, folks, please go over and follow me. And the track, what are the three principles and why do they bring more ease to life, is the one to listen to if you would like to get a little bit more of an overview of the three principles. I made that specifically for people who asked that question, Mary. Could I tell them about the three principles? And in the link in my bio, there is also a video as well that gives a little bit more information. Thank you so much, Natalie. Oh, hello, Ripon. Nice to see you. Are you new here, Natalie? I think you might be new. Or are you a repeat offender, as we now call people who come back? And there's a lot of you about now, which is really nice. I see not always people who say hello. Some people do say hello, but I see familiar profile pictures, are we going to call them that, bobbing up and down at the bottom, which is really nice. It's nice that a lot of you come back. This conversation is so transformational. Do you know what, Natalie? I'm going to speak more to what you just said there. Reminded is the word. I know you're not new, Ripon. I know you're not new. We've been chatting, haven't we? So I know you're not new. Natalie, it is a reminder because it's something that once upon a time we all knew. Not perhaps problematically, that the intellect is what's got in the way, and now we might be looking at this and going, oh, I need to understand this intellectually, now let go of that. That's not going to be helpful. But if you're getting a feeling that there's something here, something just rings true, something just feels peaceful, something just feels calm, something just feels aligned, something feels like it's just dropping into place, it just makes sense, then you're feeling it on a different level. Because we're not looking towards the intellect here. We're looking for something much deeper. The intellect is the thing getting in the way most of the time. So, Natalie, it is a reminder because it's the truth of who we are. And once upon a time, we knew that. I don't know if you've ever heard that. I should find this parable. There's I can't remember if it's a Greek myth or a parable or something like that, where the gods kind of come together and say, right, we want to hide something from the humans. Where shall we hide it? We want to hide the truth about who they are. Let's say that. I can't remember the exact. Somebody else might remember this story. And the gods asked the eagle comes, and the eagle says, hide it in the sky, they won't find it there. And the gods say, no, they'll learn to fly at some point in the future and they'll find it there. And so then along comes the whale, and the whale says, bury it at the bottom of the sea, they'll never find it there. And the gods say, no, they'll definitely go to the bottom of the sea and they'll find it eventually. They'll find it there. And then the mole says, bury it under the ground, bury it deep, deep under the ground. I'll dig a hole, you can bury it under the ground. And the gods say, no, they'll dig down eventually and they'll find it. And then along comes a wise creature. I don't know which creature it is. Let's call it a rabbit. Along comes a wise rabbit, and the wise rabbit says, I don't know why it's a rabbit, but we're going with it. The rabbit says, hide it inside them. They'll never look there. It's inside you. The solution to the inner critic, the better thinking, the better thoughts about yourself. It's all already there inside you. And that's why, Natalie, it feels like a reminder. You may have heard this before, but whether you have or you haven't, it's just a reminder. It's just taking you, which I wish I could do in my arms, and pointing you to look inside. Just saying, hey, it's in here. Yes, we've all got voices in our heads talking nonsense. But that's not who you really are. That's not the truth of you. Ripon, that's a great question. Whenever you fancy. I don't meditate very often myself. I tend to live in a state of meditation most of the time now. In a state of flow. Thank you, Natalie. And thank you, Marita. It is a lovely story. I'll have to find the exact wording of it actually and learn it better. Because it is a great story to share. So for me, Ripon, it would be when I feel like it. When my wisdom says, do you know what, it'd be nice to meditate. Because sometimes it still does. Before, it was very forced. It was every morning. It was, well, for a long time, it was when I wake up. And then I read the book 5 o'clock club or the something 5 o'clock. Oh, somebody else will have read it. I can't remember what it's called. It was still on my phone actually, because I probably listened to it rather than read it. And then I decided to exercise first and then meditate. So I used to meditate and then exercise, and then I changed it to exercise and then meditate because of reading a book. Because I was like that. This book says that, shove me that way. This book says that, shove me that way. Oh, this book's saying that, shove me that way. This is what it was like. It's literally, what's the guru saying today? Which guru am I reading? And what are they saying? Oh, I better change what I'm doing then to fix myself. And that's why you won't ever hear me telling you what to do. So, well, Ripon, if you sleep when you meditate, that might be what your body needs. Doesn't matter. There's rules, but there's somebody else's rules, folks. They're not yours. There is something in you that is crying to get out. And if you're spending all your time looking for everybody else's answers to it, you will be looking forever. Because you're looking out there and it's in here, hidden in here. Hidden underneath the noise. Don't put more noise in here going looking for your solutions with other people. Thank you so much, Julie. I'm so glad you came here. I think the universe aligns sometimes and we end up being in a place where we're supposed to be. I've really, really enjoyed this session. I'm so glad I've screen recorded it because it's felt very connected and I felt very connected to you. And thank you so much for everybody who's been contributing, and thank you for everybody who's here. I can see that quite a few more people have come in since I last said hello, and I'm about to say goodbye. So if you found this helpful, if you feel like you've heard something that is useful to you, then please do go over and follow me. Find out more about what I'm doing. Thank you so much, Kathy. You can find out about my 2, nearly 3 courses. So if I release this course, get this course online after I've finished here, it'll probably take about 5 days. Although they seem to have speeded up again now, so hopefully it might be a bit quicker. Hopefully it'll be out by the end of the week, and definitely I hope by the beginning of next week, when of course I'm going to be starting this new topic of productivity. Last few days on revealing your potential. And the last few lives on this subject are tomorrow at 8:05 a.m. This is all BST because that's where I am. Revealing inner calm with the three principles, sorry. Wednesday at 1:11, building resilient relationships with the three principles, and Friday 8:08, an end to being triggered from a three principles perspective. So thank you so much, Ripon. Thank you, Rowan. Lovely to have you here. Thank you, Karen. So nice to have some new people here today. If you are new, please go over and follow me. I am really I'm really keen to share this understanding as far and wide as I can. If you are able to make a donation today to support me in doing that, I would be really, really grateful. This understanding has changed my life and I want to change as many lives as I possibly can. So turning up on here is one way to help me do that. And if you can support me with a donation to help me do that, that's great. Otherwise, please do make sure you go over and follow me, explore my courses. As I say, 2 courses are already on there, the other one on its way. It will be out very soon, I hope. I hope to see some more of you. I'm looking forward to seeing you too, Natalie. I hope you make it to the next ones. And in the meantime, have a beautiful day. I hope the sun's shining. You can see the sun keeps shining. I've gone all shiny from the weather, from the sun coming through the window. Take care, everyone. Massive love to all of you. And I hope to see some of you again soon. Remember, the link in my bio is the other place to connect with me if you want to find out more about Bernie, about this understanding and how life-changing it can be. Take care. Lots of love. Thank you so much, Roland. That's really, really generous. Thank you for the donation. And thank you anybody else who's able to make one now or after the live, of course. So take care. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all again soon. Lots of love.